So I want to make sure I review a good spread of films that are out there. Not just the spectacular films, but also the lame films. And speaking of total pieces of shit, you know what comes to my mind? That's right, Joy Luck Club. But let's save that for another day. For this one, I like to make a point that this isn't just some rant of some quote-unquote misogynistic men's lib agenda, because here I like to take a look at the film Floating Life from director Clara Law. Yes, an Asian woman even. Yes, it's possible, with a screenplay written together with Eddie Fong. This film is a beautiful, complex story about a family from Hong Kong, separated to Germany and Australia during the 90s, examining the different ways in which family members cope with isolation and alienation, away from their roots. Especially for such a communal system of society where family is such a priority. There's so much in this film. There's the multi-generational views, the grandparents' generation with their own kids, the three siblings, how they're divided around the world. This is Hong Kong we're talking about here. A place where historically many people, after the 99 years of colonization from the British Empire, has a very complicated history to say the least. This complicated violent period of Southeast Asia has witnessed a massive migration from this region. The pressures and struggles amongst the people are so beyond what any individual can easily express and explain to themselves and nor to their family. This film has managed to depict the small nuances of the lives of the choices of the siblings, whether it be in Australia or Germany, or even the choice to stay in Hong Kong. You get the sense that no matter what, there is no utopia. This is really relatable even now, and not just for Southeast Asians, as I hear many other people examining the same thing in their own lives. With the current state of the world, different countries are going through different problems, and those who can look to relocate. In Floating Life, even the brother who remained in Hong Kong, things still remain complicated. There's also the perspective of the kids, the boys in Australia, and the conflicts with the controlling mother.
Food, everything. And be your guardian till you're 21. If anyone steps out of this house, I'll have nothing to do with them ever again. Don't come back looking for help, because I won't help if you do. I won't be your sister, nor anyone's daughter anymore. Is that clear? Stay! Don't go! You bastard! Go to hell! I should never have trusted you! You son of a bitch! Fuck off! Shut up!
It's easy to dislike her. The film could have done what it usually does. Joy Luck Club and other Yellow Peril type films, and paint her as the dragon lady, the cliche trope in which films often do with controlling, dominant women figures in Asia. For example, in Joy Luck Club, the Asian man is vilified instead, thrown under the bus as part of the self-loathing Asian rhetoric. Though here, there's much more layers and development for the character. The film shows the ability for more perspectives and reflections. We develop through the film with the character and see the different frustrations, desire for power and control in a new vast continent. And finally, there's remorse in this character. So all the while not presenting her character as a single-dimensional moral warning. The boys in here are honest and authentic, not some invention of a writer who has no idea about their subject.
We're in illegal custody, concentration camp, in the whoop-whoops.
She didn't even try to take a few days off to drive us around.
And who but she could have come up with this stupid idea to learn English? The lunch too. Monday, noodles. Tuesday, fried rice. Wednesday, noodles. Thursday, fried rice.
You can't call that lunch. They're rations.
Unlike Jia Zhangke's Mountains May Depart film, we explored the diasporic immigrants in Australia. The problem that I have is not that it's fictional or absurd, and I think sometimes it's really important to have depictions or ideas of these stereotypes. Cinema is a very powerful tool, and it has proven over and over how intensely it has shaped the way we perceive people and the damages it can cause. Here I love the little details that the film gets right. The accent, the references. It's really not easy to write about people outside of yourself, be it a different age group, different gender, and then on top, Here the boys have backgrounds that composes multiple languages, multiple cultures. They speak Cantonese, Mandarin, now Australian
I
English.
thought we had successfully merged ourselves into Oz.
Hai佬啊，你話如果我哋生皮膚癌，係咪可以即刻返香港啊？我發夢啊，發咗3晚都坐住隻漁船偷渡返香港。
唔坐飛機，
喂嘛，
你唔發夢有錢，買埋我張飛嘅。
Is this yours?
My brother.
Hi, I'm Kathy.
I'm Cheryl. I like swimming. Very good. 喂，
咩啊？
游水啊！
咩游水啊？
I found out how great a country Australia is. They really love sports.
Even though the kids are secondary characters, the depth of their characters also help us to see the main character, the mother, from a totally different dimension. It enriches the view of them as opposed to having people serve as tropes and cliches. This is frankly the only film I've seen that really represented the generation of young Asian boys growing up in Australia. Boys who have suddenly had to change their world views during a time of their own teenage transformations. The coming of age sections of the films are just beautifully spot on. The strict mother we see experiences the pressures to conform, to be strong and to survive.
咁佢而家兩個壞成點啊？
生個仔出嚟要管㗎，
可唔可以食埋飯先？
出邊啲沙番就係冇人管，食大麻、吸毒、亂搞男女關係，10歲唔夠就搞大個肚，斬死人，冇人性㗎。佢兩隻嘢群埋啲沙番返嚟，搞到我間屋冤崩爛臭，成屋 Ace 啊！你搞得掂咩？你哋嚟係移民，唔係嚟嘆世界，係走難啊 ！OK， 我都捱得好辛苦㗎。唔關我管，即刻走返香港。I don't give a damn.
Coming out of it, instead of just hating on the mother, I actually find myself reflecting on and seeing just how difficult it is for everybody in this film. And you get the sense that despite the difficulties and frustrations with one another, there is at the end of it a core longing for belonging and for connection and to maintain some kind of family unity that is on the brink of it being severed. The other sibling, though he stayed back in Hong Kong and is not really in diaspora, one can actually see though that Hong Kong in a way is in itself a diasporic nation. As the land was transformed into a British colony, being forced to embrace a different cultural landscape, they became strangers in their own land. In Floating Life, also seen through the perspective of diaspora, we get to see and understand this Asian man through a different lens. We get to see and understand the brother through the lens of immigration, looking back, comparing. Sexuality is also beautifully presented with the Asian man, with the intimate depictions of the sexual man that isn't emasculated, yet also views the rich depth of his sexuality and the melancholy of sexuality. This isn't just some pornographic scenes objectifying the characters, selling sex for the sake of sex. This isn't some Diet Pepsi ad. And the way that it connects the film through death. In the Victorian times, death was everywhere, but sex was unspeakable. Today, sex is now everywhere, but death is to be feared and cannot be seen at all costs. And their money, on the other hand, isn't even real. This film gives a kind of capsule, a sociological observation. Seen now with time, we can observe the discussion between each of these subjects throughout the film. There's plenty of sex, though sex can be examined through the perspective of social relations, monetary power dynamics, but also emotional intimacy, like this beautiful scene in Germany. The woman reveals her sadness and longing for home. It is through this that the sexual intimacy is revealed and presented, the vulnerability and intimacy between people, as opposed to serving a commercial purpose of Orientalism, fetishization, and objectification. And again, with the sex around the diasporic man, it's even connected to the end where the three guys are hanging out on the beach. We see the different perspectives of age and their relationship to the opposite gender, something that is completely missed amongst men in diaspora, with often the emasculation of Asian men in Western media. So it's really refreshing to see a film like this putting things into perspective. Right, so getting on to the IOTO test. First off, the names. The names are very accurate in the sense of the characters coming from Hong Kong, where the people often have Hong Kong names, Latinized, but some also have more English names through the pressures of cultural hegemony from the British colonizers. But because it remains true to these characters, this film definitely gets a pass. Now, when it comes to sexuality in the film, this film hits it on really well, showing and representing sexuality of all the characters in a way that is honest and authentic. Even though it would be nice to show Asian men with a non-Asian partner sexually, this is unfortunately a reflection of the times. It would be interesting to see more representation in future films. Does it show sexual screen activity? Definitely, in a way that is beautiful, intimate, and honest. Did the film avoid stereotyping? Fuck yeah, I love it. There were people, relatable people with problems, issues, frustrations, emotions. They have their hopes and their dreams. It avoided all the single-dimensional exotic ideas. Funny enough, the one guy that was stereotyped was the neo-Nazi skinhead they had in Germany. Though the film does redeem itself with the white audience, in which the white German husband does try to show a little bit more complexity. This is an Australian film produced with the assistance of Film Victoria, and much thanks to SBS. As an Australian production, one can be proud of a film like this. It's sad to see the changes in politics in a country that has struggled with multiculturalism in Australia today. I do hope that more films like this can be produced about the vast array of people on this continent. Solid A from my side.
여보세요.